Hi guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Damola, and if this is your first time coming across my channel, you are welcome. Please do well to click on the subscribe button, and also don't forget to turn on post notification so you get notified whenever I post a new video. I post sewing tutorials, vlogs, and fashion related content among others, right? So on today's tutorial, we're going to be learning how to drape on a bra cup, right? So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, you definitely need to keep on watching to the end of the video. And without wasting much of your time, let's get right into the tutorial. So these are the materials I'm going to be using for this tutorial, right? I have my bra cup here, my regular bra cup, not the push-up one. I have my fabric also. I'm using a doll face fabric, right? And I have my hemming gum, and I also have my pins, right? So for my bra cups, I went ahead to take in a dart of 1/2 inch by 3 inches to give it that push-up effect, right? And for this tutorial, we're going to be working with just one part of the cup, so I'm going to go ahead and set the other piece aside, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is to notch the midpoint of this cup, right? So since I already sewed up the upper part, that sewn part is going to be my notched area for the upper part of the cup, right? So I am not going to be notching the upper part. I'm going to be notching the lower parts only. So I'm going to go ahead and notch it like so. And after notching it, this is what it looks like, right? So now the next thing I'm going to do is to cut away that sewing allowance of that dart intake that I have at the upper part of the cup. I'm going to go ahead and cut it away like so that part remains flat. I'm going to leave about 1/4 inch so I don't cut into the stitches, right? And after doing that, I'm going to go ahead and set the cup aside. So I'm going to start working on my fabric now, right? So my fabric is about 14 inches in height and 22 inches wide, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and fold my fabric into two. So when I fold it into two, I am going to have 7 by 22 inches, right? Then I'm going to go ahead and notch the midpoint on both ends. And after notching, I'm going to go ahead to flip the fabric to the wrong side, right? And I'm going to connect a straight line from one end of the notch to the other end. And after doing that, I'm going to go ahead to find the midpoint of that line, right? And after finding the midpoint, the next thing I'm going to do is to place my bra cup. I am going to be placing the highest point on my bra cup, that is the apex. I'm going to be pinning it down to the midpoint of that line. So I've gone ahead to pin it down, right? And I'm going to flip it over to the right side, right? And now it is time for us to start draping, right? So I'm going to start draping the upper part of the cup first. So go ahead and start making your pleat. You can see I did not start draping from the midpoint exactly. I left about 1/4 inch from that part where I have my pin showing, right? Because I want my upper part drape and the lower side drape to face one another, right? So after draping the first part, I went ahead to pin it down and I draped the second part on it, right? So you are going to go ahead and follow this process till you get to the end of the cup, right? And as you are draping, make sure your draping is as firm as possible, that is, it is not loose. Okay, so go ahead and keep draping till you get to the sewing allowance area of the cup, right? So here now I've gotten to the sewing allowance area of the cup, right? The sewing allowance area is that part that is very light to touch. It is not as bulky as the other parts of the cup, right? So when I get there, I'm going to stop draping, and now we are going to move to the lower part of the cup. So now to drape the lower part of the cup, you can see I turned the cup upside down so it will be easier for me to drape, right? So now you can see the essence of the 1/4 inch I left in the middle, right? So now when I'm draping the lower part also, I am going to leave that 1/4 inch again. So at the end of the day, I am going to have about 1/2 inch on that midpoint, right? But then again, you can always make all your pleats face the same direction, just like the picture you are seeing on your screen right now. And to achieve that, you are going to start your pleat from the upper part of the cup, not from the midpoint, right? But this is the design I'm going for, so I am going to have my pleats facing opposite direction. So you can see how I'm pleating it, right? I'm trying to make sure I have the same size of pleat, right? So I'm going to go ahead and keep pleating it firmly, pinning it down until I get to the sewing allowance area of the lower part also. So here now I've gotten to the sewing allowance area of the cup, so I stopped pinning, and this is what it looks like. This is what the wrong side looks like also, right? So I'm going to go ahead and make a stitch all round to hold my pleat down, right? I'm going to be sewing on that soft part of the cup, the sewing allowance, not on the bulky part, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, then I'm going to come back to show you guys what it looks like. So this is what it looks like after sewing it down, right? And this is what the one side looks like as well, right? So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and trim off the sewing allowance like so. And after I was done cutting it out, this is what it looks like, right? So the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and cut out the lining to cover the wrong part of the cup, right? So this is the fabric I'm going to be using as the lining. It is also a doll face fabric, right? So I'm going to go ahead and fold the fabric into 4, just like when I want to cut a 360 flare, right? And I'm going to be measuring 7 inches all round like so. So for this part, the 7 inches is not basic. You can do as low as 6 inches, 5 inches, 4 inches, right? It totally depends on you, but because I'm working with a big bra cup, that was why I used 7 inches. Plus I like having a very big fabric to work with, so I'll be able to maneuver my fabric however, right? So after cutting it out, this is what it looks like, right? The next thing I'm going to do is to fold it like so, and I'm going to measure 1 inch on both edges like so. Then I'm going to find the midpoint of this half circle, right? And I'm going to be connecting that 1 inch that I measured. I'm going to be connecting it to that midpoint. I'm going to be doing it for both sides, so just watch what I'm doing now. So keep in mind that there are several methods of turning your bra cup, and this is just one of the methods that I use. So probably in subsequent videos I'm going to make a tutorial on different methods of lining your bra cup, right? So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and connect the 1 inch that I marked on both sides to the midpoint, and I'm going to go ahead and make a straight stitch on that mark that I made, right? And after doing that, this is what it looks like, right? The next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and trim off the excess. Then I'm going to take this over to my ironing table, and I'm going to use my bust arm to iron it down properly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, then come back to show you guys what it looks like. And after ironing it, this is what it looks like, right? You can see there is a curved shape in the middle of the circle, right? So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and place my cup right side facing on the lining fabric, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure that the notched parts of my cup aligns with the line that I have in the middle of the lining, right? And you know that the notch part of our cup was where we took in our dart for our push-up, right? So that is the part I'm going to go ahead and pin down to my fabric. Then I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to run a straight stitch on the upper part of my cup like so. I'm going to be sewing on that soft part of the cup. I will not extend my sewing into the bulky part of the cup, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, then come back to show you guys what it looks like. So after sewing it, this is what it looks like, right? The next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and trim off the excess like so, right? And after doing that, I'm going to flip this over to the right side, and I am going to be running a top stitch on the lining area of the cup like so. I'm going to go ahead and do that now, then come back to show you guys what it looks like. So after top stitching, this is what it looks like, right? And we are almost done with this cup, right? The next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and flip the lining over the cup like so. You can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and flip the lining over the cup like so, and I'm going to take this to my ironing table, and I am going to be ironing it down. So one thing I do when ironing this part is to place my hemming gum in between my lining and my cup, right? So at the end of the day, when I'm done ironing, it is going to lay really flat, and I am not going to have any part of my lining area showing on the right side of my cup, right? So I'm going to take this over to my ironing table now, and I'm going to iron it. Then I'm going to come back to show you guys what it looks like. So after I'm done ironing, this is what it looks like, right? You can see how neat that edge is looking right, and I don't have any parts of my lining showing on the right side, as you can see, right? So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and push my cup inwards, like so. You can see I'm pushing from the right side to the wrong side, like so, right? And I am going to be pinning it all the way around on the sewing allowance area, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pull it not too firm, because if it is too firm, when I'm done sewing, it is going to be pulling on the fabric and there won't be enough space for the bust to sit, right? So after I am done pinning, I am going to push it back in to see if there is no pulling and if the inner part of the cup is relaxed, right? And after doing that, I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and I'm going to be sewing this on the sewing allowance area of the cup, right? So I'm going to go over to my sewing machine now to do that. Then I'm going to come back to show you guys what it looks like. So after sewing it down, guys, this is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess fabric and we are basically done with this cup, right? And you're going to go ahead and do the same thing for the other part of the cup, and you can go ahead and attach it to your bodice, right? So if you like this video, please do what to give this video a thumbs up, like and share. And if this is your first time coming across my channel, please do what to click on the subscribe button, and also don't forget to turn on post notifications so you get notified whenever I post a new video. So if you're going to be trying this out, let me know in the comment section and I'll be seeing you in my next tutorial. Bye.